That's exciting right there, everybody. That's incredibly exciting. Love it. Now, here's the big news. So we are, as we're getting ready for the Beaver Valley launch, we are having a core team meeting next Sunday. So if you want to be a part of this, if you want to be a part of the core team, then come to this particular meeting that we're going to have. I think the slide's going to come up so you can see it. It's coming. No, maybe not. Okay. So the core team meeting is next Sunday, the 27th at 6:30 at the Beaver Valley campus. So make sure that you come and be a part of that. Actually, Pastor Chris right here, wave to me. All right, wave to me right there. Pastor Chris is going to be outside at the Beaver Valley table. So if you have any questions about that ministry, the Beaver Valley launch, go ahead out afterwards and chat with him, okay? Any questions? Good. All right. So typically, everyone, I am up here preaching to all 5 campuses of Northway. But tonight, I'm only speaking to you at Wexford because all of our campuses are going live this week and all the campus pastors are teaching live at their campuses. So I'm excited to finish our This Is Us series by talking about us. This is us, Wexford. So let me begin by asking you this question. Have you ever heard the phrase, "You had one job"? Anybody? You had one job. The idea behind this phrase is that somebody didn't do their job. One job was given to somebody and they messed it up. And so maybe you've said it before, maybe it's been said to you, but the idea behind the phrase "you had one job" is the fact that a person did not do their job, like this guy, okay? Right? That is not how you spell school. So school is not the way, okay, you had one job, all right? Like the guy from Heinz, take a look at this. You had one job, look closely, right? All you gotta do is put the sweet relish on, the sticker, the right side, you had one job. How about those of us who love bacon? This one, okay? Juicy bacon. You just don't mess with a brother. We wanted bacon, not juice. Okay, you had one job. And then the last one, those of us who want to try to cram some more into our week, here we go. You had one job, open 9 days a week. All right, you had one job. So you get the idea behind this phrase of "you had one job." And obviously all of these people failed at their one job. So as followers of Jesus Christ, we have one job. In Northway Wexford, those of you who call this place home, you have one job. And I want to make sure as your pastor that you do this one job incredibly well. I want you to get it right. So today, I want to look at a guy in the scriptures who had this same one job and he nailed it. He did it well. Couldn't be said of him, "You had one job." So we're going to look at him. His name is John. He was the cousin of Jesus. And if you've been hanging around church for a while, you may know him as John the Baptist. In Jesus' time, John, his cousin, he had quite the ministry, quite a growing following around him, sort of unique rock star status of a preacher out in the wilderness. He dressed in a very unique way. He had a very interesting, unusual diet. And John the Baptist was becoming a really big deal in Jerusalem and around Jerusalem. So much so that the Pharisees, the religious leaders of the day, they thought that John the Baptist could actually be the Messiah. If he wasn't the Messiah, then he was definitely a prophet of God. So look now at what the Gospel of John says about John the Baptist. Here we go, John 1:19. "And this is the testimony of John, when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask John, 'Who are you?' And he confessed, did not deny, but confessed, 'I am not the Christ.' And they asked him, 'Well, what then? Are you Elijah?' And he said, 'I am not.' 'Are you the prophet?' And he answered, 'No.' So they said to him, 'Who are you? We need to give an answer to those who sent us. What do you say about yourself?'" So right here, John the Baptist gives us a clue. He knew exactly who he was. And I think that can help us as we sometimes struggle with our identities to be able to know who we are. According to our identity, we can take a cue out of his book that knowing who you are begins with knowing who you are not. He knew exactly who he wasn't, and that helped him know who he was. See, each and every one of us is created with uniqueness. You do not have to be like anybody else in this world. You have unique talents and abilities, passions and giftings from God. And if you're not careful, your uniqueness can get lost in the game of comparison around here. But John didn't play those kind of games. He didn't go for that. He knew that he was unique, and he went for it. He went for his mission with laser focus in his unique way, his one job, and look how he responds to these questions. He said, I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet Isaiah said. So John the Baptist now quoting the prophet Isaiah, who wrote centuries earlier that we have recorded in the Bible as Isaiah 40. He says this, Isaiah said, a voice cries, in the wilderness prepare the way of the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up and every mountain hill be made low. The uneven ground shall become level and the rough places a plain. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh, that means all people, shall see it together. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken. So John the Baptist here is reaching back to that imagery. And he's saying that he's a voice, preparing a highway for the Lord. And he did this one job incredibly well. But it was unique to him, how he was wired to do it. But this one job was not just assigned to John the Baptist, as many think. No, it's actually been assigned to all the people of God. We have that same one job. See, he's not the only voice. In fact, in the other gospel accounts, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, it says this, that John is recorded as saying, I am a voice crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. So we also have this same job. Now, you might not know this about John the Baptist, but he actually also had disciples, just like Jesus did. But John the Baptist had disciples. You know, he had these students, these followers that would come up close to him, that he would teach the character and the ways of God to. And he would tell them about the incredible things that God had done throughout the generations of God's people. And I want you to see here how he now takes a turn of what he teaches about Jesus. John the Baptist had the privilege to baptize Jesus. And right after that moment, I want you to see what John said about Jesus. Look at this. He said, I have seen and have borne witness that this is the Son of God. John the Baptist pointing to Jesus as he's coming up out of the water, and he's saying, everybody, this is who you've been waiting for. This is the one. Jesus of Nazareth is the Messiah, the one who takes away your sin. John had one job, and he just nailed it right there. The next day it continues. It's not just one day with him. The next day it continues. Again, John was standing with two of his disciples. And he looked at Jesus as he walked by and said, behold, the Lamb of God. And the two disciples heard him say this. And look at this. They then followed Jesus. So they stopped following John and they started following Jesus. John again nailed his one job. And so Northway Wexford, I want to submit to you that we have one job. And I want to say this in such a way, and then I'm going to unpack it for the remainder of the sermon. Remember that this is a series that we've been in for the last 2 weeks, and this is the third. This isn't a series about Northway at large. This is about you. This is about me, the people who make up Northway Christian Community. So I want you to take this very personally. So Northway Wexford, you have one job, and here it is, to make a path for Jesus by loving people where you live, work, and play. Make a path for Jesus. See, John was a voice. You are a voice. I am a voice that can make straight a path for the Lord. See, John told his disciples that Jesus is the one that they've been looking for, and we can do the same thing. And do you ever do this when you read the Bible? Do you try to insert yourself into that story? And you try to figure out maybe what that person was thinking or feeling. I do this a lot to try to figure out how I might have responded. But I try to imagine John here and what this felt like for him. I bet it was a bittersweet day for him. Think about it. You know, to have those that he came to know and love, his disciples, now follow somebody else. But then at the same time, to know that he had accomplished his job so well that they actually started to follow Jesus. Bittersweet, right? So he was so humble enough to be able to sort of fade into the background now. Humble enough to say this, which is recorded later in John chapter 3. He said this, John said this, I must decrease so that Jesus can increase. And that probably wasn't easy for him to say. But he knew that it wasn't about him. His whole life was prepared for this moment to make a path straight for Jesus so that people would follow him. And so Northway Wexford, this is why we are no longer one church in just this location. This is why we are a multi-site church. This is why out of here and out of Sewickley Valley mostly, we are launching our Sewickley Valley campus. That's why I'm asking you as your campus pastor that if you live closer to the Beaver Valley area than you do to this Wexford area, then go to Beaver Valley campus. Why? Because you're already there. Where you live, where you work, where you play, you're already there. Now listen, I get it. I understand. It's kind of bittersweet. You know, you love Northway Wexford. I get it. Your family loves Northway Wexford. So do I. You love your small group. You love that we get live teaching here every weekend. You know, some of you might be saying, oh, I could never watch the sermon on a screen. Can I just point out the fact that many of you are watching me on a screen right now? Just saying, okay? See, we need to learn from John the Baptist here. He knew it wasn't about him. He was on mission. One job to do, to make a path for people to follow Jesus. And he had to sacrifice what he wanted for that mission to take place. And I'm sure it was hard for him, but that mission was his one job. And we here at Northway Wexford, we have the exact same job. So now let me connect the dots of what our lead pastor, Scott Stevens, has been saying the last 2 weekends with us as it pertains to our one job at Northway Wexford. So Scott has been laying out for us our mission, our vision, our strategy that we have as a church. And so if you're here for the first time this weekend, I just want to say welcome. This is a really good weekend for you to learn who we are as a church, because our lead pastor has been saying this. This is us right here. We're a church that loves people where we live, work, and play. And we will impact the region of Pittsburgh with the hope of the gospel by being one church in multiple locations. And now here comes our core values as a church. We're going to do that by following Jesus. We're going to do life together in small groups and environments. And we're going to engage and influence our culture. So hear me. Those of you who live closer to the Beaver Valley campus, which is going to be in the middle of Rochester, as you heard, you need to go there. As bittersweet as that is going to be for me, as it's going to be for your small group, you need to go because you're already there. You need to join the core team that is already making a path for others to follow Jesus. Join in on that. And then for those of us who are going to remain here at the Wexford campus, we've got a job to do. It is really my high privilege as your pastor. See, I have a unique job to do on top of the job that we all have. See, I have a responsibility that I take very seriously. See, I'm tasked to make a path for Jesus where I live, where I work, and where I play. But then I have another God-given responsibility, and that's to equip you for your job. So the Apostle Paul, he writes about guys like me, pastors, teachers. He says this: their responsibility is to equip God's people to do God's work and build up the church, the body of Christ. And I just want you to know that I take this role very seriously. That I and the staff, we work incredibly hard to equip you with opportunities and environments for you to do your one job really well. And so for the remaining portion of the sermon, I want to get extremely practical with all of you. I'm going to remind some of you, and I'm going to introduce many of you to the breadth of the ministries that we have here at Northway Wexford to help you do your one job. Now listen, a little disclaimer here. I couldn't possibly cover all of the ministries that we have going on here at Northway Wexford. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give a highlight of all of the key areas of ministry that are kind of the umbrella ministries for all of the others that fit underneath that, okay? So if you have your outline with you, just flip it over right now. It's also on your digital outline on YouVersion. Everything I'm about to share with you is also on our website at northway.org, okay? I can no longer assume as your pastor that you actually know what's going on around here, okay? So I'm gonna lay it out as if we were all in elementary school together. So I'm about to give you a fire hose of information. And we're going to start all the way down with our little ones, and we're going to work our way through to all of the adult ministries that we have here at Northway Wexford. Okay, so the first one is this. Our kids ministry is absolutely amazing, and we have every weekend kids church that happens simultaneously as you are in here. So Sundays 9 and 11 and Saturdays at 5. This is ages birth through 5th grade, and it happens every time that we gather. Now check this out. We're going to do something new this fall. And so I need you to pay attention if you're a parent of a 4th and 5th grader, okay? We're going to create a new experience for our 4th and 5th graders, okay? Guys, you can take that down because I want everybody to see how excited I am for this, okay? Listen, sometimes our 4th and 5th graders are getting lost in kids' church. They're kind of, I don't want to be here anymore. I feel like a baby. So we're going to create a little bit of a kind of teaser for our student ministry. We're going to mock environment at the 3rd weekend where the kids in 4th and 5th grade are actually going to go up to the student lounge for some time together. So we're going to create this. We're going to try it out, see how it goes for the 4th and 5th grade experience. So make sure that if you have little ones in that particular age range, get them excited for the 3rd weekends of the month. Now this one, FM Live. Many of you already know about FM Live. This is the place where parents and kids learn together about God's big ideas. It's a 45-minute fun, digital, interactive experience that happens the first Saturday night of the month. And we're kicking it off in October this year. And check this out, it's free, and I love this, you can actually order Chick-fil-A and then have it delivered to you by the time that you get there. Doesn't get much better than that. So make sure that you check that out. And then this last one, I want to make sure you hear this. I'm giving you a lot of headlights so that you can invite some friends for this. On December 2nd this year, we and our partners at Chick-fil-A, right out front, we are going to throw a massive party, not just for our church, but for the entire Wexford community. And check this out. We already have Santa scheduled. It's going to be fantastic. All right, and our FM Live team is going to put on a show called Jingle Jam. It's going to be an incredible time, so make sure that you are here for that and invite every possible family that you know to be a part of that Jingle Jam Santa. We'll get a name for it eventually, but just know that that is coming, okay? So that's our kids ministry, big highlights there, so much more I could say. Now let's move on to student ministry. If you've got anybody in this age range of 6th through 8th grade, our student ministry will kick off coming September 10th. And we're going to have a guest speaker that you might already know. His name is Josh Mook. Why? Because the story hit the news nationally of when a Pittsburgh cop He adopted this young man, and now this kid is a prize boxer. And he's gonna be talking to our student ministry that night. And if that wasn't awesome enough, free Chick-fil-A for everybody who's gonna be there that night. Just saying, our partners at Chick-fil-A are really hooking us up, okay? So we also have midweek, we have study groups for our kids ministry. That's where our kids can get in circles, small groups as they study the Bible together. And then just one more thing about the student ministry. The best thing that we do in the fall for our student ministry is our Laurelville retreats. This is middle school weekend is one weekend, high school is another weekend. This is completely designed by our partners at the Pittsburgh Kids Foundation to introduce students to Jesus while they are having the best weekend of their life. So make sure, so parents, if you're in here, students, if you're in here, you need to make sure that as soon as that opens, because this is getting popular now, and the registrations are gonna go quick. So make sure you sign up for that. Okay, so that's our kids ministry, that's our student ministry, and now let me move into our adult ministry. There's so much that I could say here, but for the sake of time and getting us out of here at a decent hour, I'm just gonna hit the highlights, okay? I wanna create some environments, we have created some environments, I should say, to help you take some spiritual next steps. And so the first thing that I wanna mention to you that's coming up in 3 weeks is our Small Group Connect. This is the lifeblood of our community. Ask anybody who's in a small group that this is where we flesh out life on life together. So if you're going through some things, being a part of a small group is huge. People having your back, people coming to support you, meals when a baby is born. These types of things happen in small groups, so make sure that you get connected. I could tell you about so many different types of small groups, but I'm gonna save that for a later time. Make sure that you're here September 9th and 10th for the Small Group Connect. The second thing I wanna make you aware of, if you've been hanging around this summer at Northway and you're thinking about becoming a member of Northway, then check out our You Belong class that's gonna come in a month, okay? This is where you can hear about what does it mean to be a member of Northway Christian Community. And then the third thing I want to say is this: if you have never gone public with your faith by being baptized, we're going to do that in October. So make sure that if you want to do that, you can write it on your little communicator card in your notes right now. I want to go public with my faith. I've been waiting for it, October 21 and 22nd. You can do that, okay? So much more I could say there, different small groups, but let me now move into, because this is huge. You might not know any of this because these types of ministries that I'm about to mention to you, they sort of fly under the radar. So make sure that you hear what I'm about to say next, because this is about our care ministry. So let me share with you, our care ministry's vision is this: to accept you where you are, but encourage you not to stay there. We all need to be growing. And so we want to come alongside of you for whatever it is that you are going through. And so you need to know this about our church, that we take marriages incredibly seriously. We want to help you in your marriage. So the first thing I wanted to tell you about is the Great Date. We do this every fall and spring, so I'd love for you to put this on your calendar. If you're a married couple, come here that night to be encouraged and then go out on a date night. If you've got kids, we'll take care of them. You just need to register for that night. And then the second thing that I want you to know is about our program called Marriage Matters. Erica and I have been through this program with our small group. We absolutely loved it. It was a great time. You learn biblical principles and tools to help you communicate in your marriage, regardless of if it's going great or if you are struggling in your marriage. Marriage Matters 1 and 2 is for you. And we've been hearing from you because some of you have said, you know what, I'm not married. I'm coming out of a divorce. I would like to work on my relationships, but I'm not married. So can I go through Marriage Matters? No, you can't. But we've designed something for you called Relationship Matters. It's basically the same idea, the same tools, the same communication plan, just in your job, in your neighborhood relationships. So make sure that you come and be a part of that. And now a few more things about our care ministry. You might not know this, but we actually have recovery groups that are a part of our church. This is where we really dig in with those of you who are really struggling. You might have chemical addictions. You might be struggling with purity, or you might be a friend or a family member of someone who is struggling with an addiction. Well, we have great ministries. Recovery matters, purity matters, codependency matters. And if that isn't good enough, man, did you know that right on the property, we have a professional counseling center right here? That if you're struggling in any area of life, you can get great Christian counseling right upstairs here. We also have different prayer ministries that you can be a part of. If you're struggling and you need healing, we've got healing prayer that's available. So make sure that you're taking advantage of these particular ministries, okay? A lot in our care ministry. So I could say so much, but now let me move on to our outreach and our missions that we have coming up. The big one that I want you to know that is coming this fall is our Homewood Harvest Party. Okay, we do this every year, and here's what I would love to do. I want to compete with the other campuses, okay? I want to make sure that Wexford is so well represented at the Homewood Harvest Party that we take all the volunteer slots, okay? So we're going to need people to manage the games. We need so much candy. We need you to take your car down there and be able to decorate your trunk so that we can provide these kids in Homewood and their families a really safe trick-or-treat environment. Come and be a part of that with us. You can volunteer for that. The second thing I want you to know about, and this is basically, if you want to know anything about our outreach here at Northway, then you need to come to this event. It's the Imagine Conference that's coming, okay? You need to be a part of this. We're going to be covering so many different things here. We're going to cover our new refugee ministry that we have. We're going to have tracks for those of you who are passionate about fighting human trafficking in our city. We're going to have racial reconciliation classes a part of that. So make sure that you are here. You're going to learn about the missions at Northway at Imagine Conference. Just know this, and the information's on our website as well, that you can become a LAMP mentor to a kid in Homewood. See, I'm helping you make sure that you are making a path for people to follow Jesus. And what a great way to mentor a kid all the way towards Jesus in Homewood. Come and be a part of that. There's training happening this week. And then you can also be a part of short-term mission trips that we are going to be having. Okay, now everybody, I'm gonna ask you to stand for this last portion, okay? Because I know that you have been zoning out on me, because you're like, man, that was like a commercial, all right? The reason why I'm sharing this stuff with you is because you've got one job. I, as your pastor, am to equip you for that one job. And so what I'm about to share with you next, I am going to be able to help you make a path for people to follow Jesus where you live, work, and play. And so a few things that I want to mention to you, starting next weekend, we have what's called a family weekend. This is going to be an incredible time for you to invite people to come with you. Now listen, we're going to shorten the services next weekend, and we're going to have people out in the atrium and out on the lawn. We're going to have games, inflatables. We're going to have food from Chick-fil-A out there. The cows are going to be there. It's going to be a great time. Why are we doing this? Because listen, you've got people in your neighborhood that their families are just as complex as yours are. And you need to invite them because we're going to talk about how we need to work on our families, and God has a great plan for our families. So make sure that you invite somebody to be a part of that, okay? One more thing that I want you to know is that we've got some great series that are coming this fall. And guaranteed, there are people in your circles that you know that are wondering about this question. What happens after we die? So we're going to do a series called Afterlife. It's coming. And so make sure that you're going to invite people to be a part of this starting September 9th and 10th. It's going to be a great series. And then right after that series, we're going to do a series entitled, Wait, What? Have you ever read the Bible and you were like reading along and you're like, did that really just happen? Oh my goodness. Like it's the weird, so let's just call it out. The Bible sometimes is weird. Right? And you have some friends that have tossed out Christianity altogether because of some of the stories in the Bible. So we're going to dig in to some of those very weird stories, and we're just going to call it out, and we're going to try to figure out the why behind the weird. So invite people to come and be a part of that. Now, this is probably the one that I am most excited about, and I've left this for the last, okay? So don't check out on me. We are almost done. A part of the Wait What series, We've invited a very special guest. His name is Michael Jr. This guy is a comedian at the top of his game. He has made it to our nation's top stages on the Late Late Show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Tonight Show. This guy is going to be speaking at our weekend services. And then that Sunday night in October, he's going to do a straight up comedy routine right here. We're going to sell tickets. They're going to go fast because we're going to be able to just advertise this like crazy. And also Michael Jr. on his side is going to be advertising it like crazy. So buy your friends some tickets and invite them to come and be with you. Why am I sharing all of this fire hose of information with you? It's because you've got one job. Let me remind you of your one job: to make a path for Jesus where you live, work, and play. You got to love them. You got to invite them. So can we do this, Northway Wexford? I would love to see this place filled with guests this coming fall, of people that you've been praying for, people that you've been inviting, because why? They need Jesus, and they live right around you. You work with them. You're hanging out with them. So invite them to come and be a part of it, to meet Jesus. It's not about Northway. It's about Jesus. He's the main thing. He will always be the main thing. So let me pray for us, okay? So Heavenly Father, thank you for all the ministries that you have given to us here at Northway Wexford. God, I pray that we would be a church that loves people well. I pray that we would be a church that sends people well to Beaver Valley. God, may we make a path straight for your son, Jesus, so that people could be in a right relationship with you. God, help us, give us the courage to invite people. We love you, Lord. And everybody said, amen.